Hello and welcome to Film School. Now today we're going to talk about sound, but you probably don't want to take advice from me, seeing as I recorded half this entire segment before I remembered I hadn't turned my microphone on. It's been a long week. So, sound. Is it really that important? Yes, it really is. In fact, in many cases, the audio side of filmmaking is far more important than the visual side. So the first thing I'm going to do is give you an example of how bad sound affects everything. And I'm not going to embarrass someone else by using their clip. I'm going to hold up my hands and say I make mistakes a lot.
Basically our pictures and our stories up to that point.
Yeah, just a blog basically.
Just a blog, and we kind of said, and this is the beginning of a book, which never got written, of course.
No, the website is the book.
So the clip you just watched was an Under the Visor from a few months ago. It was with Grant and Susan from Horizons Unlimited, and we did it on our trip to South Africa. Now the problem was we got short on time, and it got to a point where it was either do the interview now or not at all. So we did it, and sadly there was a lot of rain and there was thunder, and it ruined the sound. And actually, although it's not completely unwatchable, it's not brilliant and it's not easy to watch. So sound. What makes it important? Now, when you go on an adventure, you're experiencing it usually in three main ways through your main senses. You're seeing it, you're hearing it, and you're smelling it. Now, smell-o-vision never really took off, so we can't do anything about the smell. We've already talked about the visual side of things, but what you're hearing is massively important. In fact, your eyes are taking in what's happening in front of you, your ears take in everything else that's around you, and it gives you information which enhances what you're seeing visually. The key point is your brain knows something's wrong if the picture and the sound don't match. So first I'm going to give you a few tips just to help you get better sound right through the process of filming to editing. And then we're going to have a little look at microphones, different types of microphones, what they do and how they work. So tip number one, don't use the microphone on your camera. Internal microphones on cameras are 99% of the time rubbish. So the simplest way of explaining why an internal microphone on a camera isn't great is because it's a jack of all trades. They don't know what you need to film, what kind of sound you need to pick up, so they make the microphones an all-rounder, which means it does nothing particularly well. The other downside of internal microphones is they tend to pick up the noise that your camera makes. Now this isn't so much of a problem since everything went digital, but certainly when people were recording on tapes you'd have that whir in the background and it was an absolute pain. So the simple rule is get an external microphone. My second tip, I forgot to turn the light on. Great, no sound, getting the light wrong. We are just on fire today. So tip 2 is to think a bit more creatively about how you record your sound. Don't just rely on the microphone stuck to the top of the camera. Have a think about how else you can use it to record sound. There's no reason why you can't record a bit of video that you intend to completely dismiss the video side of it, just so you get the sound. Get up really close to things. Get up close to that exhaust on your motorbike. Get up close to that river with the babbling brook. Get up close to those kids playing. Record the sound. Use the sound later on in the edit, forget about the footage. We've also got great results from using our phones to record sound at a distance. Pretty much all phones these days have some sort of voice recording function on them. So you can set that up, you can press record, pop your phone down in the middle of a group of guys and gals as they have a chat round a campfire, and then you can put the camera way back and get a lovely kind of visual of the campfire, the guys and girls round the campfire having a chat, and then the great expanse of scenery behind it. And the great thing is, you get the sound in there as well. If you're going to do that though, don't forget to clap. Clapping like this just allows you to sync up the video with the sound very easily. That's what slates like this have always been used for. All you need to do is watch for the moment the hands get together and match that with the sound of the clap in the audio. So sound tip number 3 is narration. Now after the edit, you can always go back in, you can write a script and you can then go into a studio on your computer, record a narration. But what we find works really well is video diaries. So the important thing with a video diary is you do it quite regularly. Find somewhere nice and quiet in the evening, sit down and talk to the camera about what's been happening, and make sure you include the emotions and things like that. Really try and tell the story. Now the likelihood is you're not actually going to use any of the visual footage that you get from these video diaries, unless you particularly want to sit there for 10 minutes and just watch someone talking to a camera, which is what you're doing right now, so maybe you do. But realistically, what you're looking for in these video diaries is the audio. The audio can be placed over footage of that day and create actually a fantastic narration without you having to do anything later on. Of course, because you're there recording that video diary in the moment, it means that there's emotion in your voice. You're talking about what you experienced that day, not talking about it off a script 3-4 months later when you finished an edit. Now, tip number 4, don't be afraid to cheat. Yes, I said cheat. We do it all the time on Adventure Bike TV. Whenever you see Graham walking towards camera and you hear birds tweeting in the background and a soft rustle of leaves in the trees, you know what? None of that's on the original audio. That's all added in later. And it's not added in there to trick the viewer. It's added in there to try and show the viewer what it was like to be there. At the end of the day, you're storytelling through the audio. So what kind of microphone should you use with your camera? Now, if you can only afford one, which most people can, and that's absolutely fine, the best thing to do is go with a shotgun microphone. Here are 3 shotgun microphones that I use on a regular basis. This one is a Sony, and it has the normal jack fitting, so I tend to use that with DSLRs. And then here we have a Sennheiser and a Rode. Now let me just show you on this Rode microphone. Now this bit here that you can see, the big fluffy thing, is actually called a dead cat. It's a great piece of kit. What it does is it helps block out the wind. How it works quite simply is it stops any direct wind going onto the microphone. The fluffiness breaks it all up, and by the time the wind gets to there, it's nothing. And it does a fantastic job of cleaning up your sound and stopping wind noise. So let's have a quick look at a shotgun microphone. It doesn't look like an ordinary microphone. It looks a bit different. The idea of a shotgun microphone is it's highly directional. Basically, what it's pointing at is what it wants to record the sound from. So this bit here is where all the sound is coming in. It's traveling down the tube and it's recording at around this point here where the microphone is. Okay, so this is like the 6th take where I've tried to eloquently put how all the kind of gaps work down the side to reduce noise. It's all to do with the way that the sound waves pass into them and kind of overlap, and then they cancel each other out. But I can't think of a good elegant way to put it, so if you want to have a look online and they'll explain it properly in non-dyslexic language for you. But the thing you need to know about this is it's directional. So whatever it's pointing at, that's where you're going to record the majority of your sound from. Now there are other types of microphones. This is a lavalier mic, mostly called a tie clip mic. I have one on here that is going to a little box here, which then transmits it to my camera, which allows me to do it over great distances, which is fantastic. The transmitters and receivers aren't cheap, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend taking them with you. However, a nice tie clip mic like this can actually be a godsend. Just plugs in normally into your camera, and you can get a nice long lead, and you can actually get some great sound up really close to a person. So lavalier mics work slightly differently. They collect sound from a circle. They're omnidirectional. So this microphone that I have here clipped onto me is collecting sound in a circle all around me. But what it is doing is it's making sure it's only collecting sound that's close by. If I show you now by clicking my fingers up here, as I get close to the mic, you'll see as it gets closer, it starts picking up the sound more. If you're traveling light, then I would recommend getting one of these mics and just a really long lead for it. And then you can plug that straight into the camera. But it will be great for things like interviews and your diary cameras. So very quickly, let me show you the sound quality difference between the 3 types of microphone. First of all, I'm going to count to 10 using my tie clip mic that I've been using for this whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this one is recorded through my Rode shotgun directional microphone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I'm going to count to 10 and you're going to hear it as recorded through the Canon XF100 internal microphone. Now, bearing in mind that this is probably one of the better ones on the market. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So basically they're the only two types of microphones you really need. If you can go on your trip with a good shotgun microphone and a tie clip microphone on a long lead that you can get to your camera, you're pretty much covered. Now the microphones I showed you are actually quite expensive. However, Rode do some fantastic microphones that are at a lower price, which hopefully will be shown somewhere up here right now. And that is a normal jack plug, so that will plug into any of your digital SLRs and things like that. If you can get one of those and a long lead tie clip mounts, you're pretty much sorted. If anyone has any more questions that are kind of on the more technical side, I've tried to steer away from being too technical because we want this to be a kind of basic course, but if anyone's got any questions, feel free to email me and I will answer them as soon as I possibly can. Okay, so that's this month's film school done. I'm going to get out of these ridiculously hot lights and I'll see you next month. Thank you very much.